Okay, let's unpack this a bit. Have you ever been in that situation where someone makes these, grand promises?
Oh, absolutely. Or maybe even says something really heartfelt.
Exactly. And then when it really mattered, the actions just weren't there.
Yeah. It leaves you feeling a bit confused, maybe let down.
Right. That gap. It's exactly that gap we're diving into today. It's all about that timeless saying. Actions speak louder than words.
It really is a saying that hits home, doesn't it? And I think for very good reasons. We sort of intuitively get it.
We do. But let's really dig in. Why? Why do actions seem to carry so much more weight than just what we say?
That's the core question.
Yeah. So, our mission for this deep dive is really to understand the why behind it. We want to explore how this whole idea plays out, in our relationships, at work, even when we're chasing our own goals.
And maybe find some practical ways for you, the listener, to make sure your own actions line up with what you intend.
Exactly. We're pulling some ideas from a great discussion we came across on the EDP English Dialogue podcast on YouTube. They had some really insightful thoughts on this.
Okay, so starting point.
Hmm.
What are we really saying when we use that phrase, actions speak louder than words?
Well, I think fundamentally it means that what we actually do, our behavior, is a much clearer signal of our true intentions.
More so than words.
Yeah, more so than words. It shows our real values, our character, much more reliably. Actions just seem to have a bigger impact. They feel more believable than just promises or statements.
Right. Which leads to that question of trust, doesn't it? Why do we instinctively trust actions more?
Well, think about it. Words can be beautiful, sure. They can paint a picture, offer comfort,
Mm-hmm.
but actions are concrete. You can see them. You can observe them directly. Like they mentioned in that EDP discussion, actions are kind of like tangible evidence.
Evidence of priorities.
Yeah, evidence of what someone actually prioritizes, who they really are underneath it all. Words. Well, words can be easier to shape, can't they? To maybe present a certain image or just say what we think someone wants to hear.
It's interesting. There's actually a psychological bias here, the fundamental attribution error.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more.
We tend to explain other people's behavior based more on their personality, their internal traits, rather than thinking about, the situation they might be in.
Okay, so if someone acts consistently thoughtful,
We're much more likely to think, okay, that's just who they are, regardless of whether they say they're thoughtful or not. Their actions become the stronger signal.
that makes a lot of sense. Those observable behaviors really stand out.
They do. And there's also the investment factor. When someone puts time and energy into doing something,
It costs them something.
exactly, time, effort, maybe even resources, that investment signals a level of dedication, a commitment that words alone often just can't match. It feels more authentic because there was a real cost involved.
Okay, so let's bring this into our personal lives. Relationships. This feels like ground zero for seeing that difference between words and actions.
Oh, absolutely. In our closest relationships, actions are really the foundation of trust. They're how we primarily show care and commitment.
Saying I love you is important,
Yeah.
obviously.
But it's the consistent acts of love, spending quality time, really listening, being there when things get tough, remembering the little things.
Those are the things that really build the bond.
They really solidify it. They demonstrate the words.
And when those actions aren't there, it can be pretty loud in its silence, can it?
Definitely. Someone might keep saying, I'm here for you, or you can count on me.
Right. We've all heard that.
But if time after time they're just not available when you actually need support,
Yeah.
well, those words start to feel pretty empty.
Yeah, that pattern of inaction, it almost seems like it can chip away at trust faster than someone just saying something contradictory.
Well, and that ties into something called cognitive dissonance, that uncomfortable feeling we get when things don't line up.
Like when words say one thing, actions say another.
Exactly. If someone keeps saying positive things, but their actions consistently don't match, our brains want to resolve that conflict. And often, we adjust our view of the person to match their behavior, which usually means trust goes down.
Makes total sense. Okay, shift gears slightly. What about the workplace? How does this actions speak louder idea show up there?
Oh, it's huge, especially for leadership, but also just team dynamics in general.
Okay, leadership first.
Leaders who actually walk the walk.
Huh.
They practice what they preach. They earn so much more genuine respect and loyalty.
Give me an example.
Okay, say a leader talks a lot about the importance of work-life balance.
Yeah, common talk track.
But then they consistently email at all hours, expect instant replies on weekends, and never seem to take a break themselves. That sends a message.
A contradictory one.
Right. Versus the leaders who says work-life balance matters, and then actively encourages people to switch off, respects their holidays, maybe even shares their own strategies for disconnecting, their actions reinforce their words.
Right, like the manager who insists on punctuality but strolls into meetings 10 minutes late every single time.
Exactly. The actions completely undermine the words. But when actions and words do align consistently,
That builds credibility.
tremendous credibility. It creates a sense of trust, reliability, predictability. People know where they stand, and that's crucial for a healthy work environment.
And it's not just about the bosses, or it applies to colleagues too.
Absolutely. Think about your teammates, the ones who consistently pull their weight, who offer help without being asked, who share knowledge freely, who meet their deadlines.
Those are the people you trust and want to work with.
Precisely. Their actions demonstrate they're reliable, committed, a true team player, much more powerfully than just saying I'm a team player in an interview.
Okay, so we've covered relationships, work.
Mhm.
What about our own personal goals? How do actions matter more than just having good intentions for ourselves?
This is where it gets really personal, isn't it? This is where, as they say, the rubber meets the road. You can have the biggest dreams, the most inspiring vision boards, the most detailed plans,
That
but without consistent action, they just stay as ideas, dreams. It's the actual doing, often the small, maybe boring steps you take every single day that moves you forward.
Like you can say, I really want to get fit all year long,
Right.
but unless you're actually, getting out for that run or choosing the salad or hitting the gym,
The intention alone doesn't change anything. It's the action of exercising, the action of eating well, consistently, that leads to fitness.
makes sense. The wanting isn't the achieving.
Exactly. And this really underlines why breaking big goals down is so important. You need those smaller, actionable steps. It's not just about wanting to learn Spanish. It's about doing that Duolingo lesson, practicing with a speaker, watching a show in Spanish. Those consistent actions.
Which brings us squarely to consistency. Why is consistent action so vital?
Consistency is what builds that predictability we talked about. It reinforces trust. When people see your actions reliably matching your words over time.
They know they can count on you.
Right. It creates a sense of security and dependability.
Huh.
They know what to expect from you.
And the flip side, inconsistency. That must be really damaging.
Oh, hugely.
Yeah.
It creates confusion, sows doubt. People start to wonder about your sincerity.
Like someone who offers help, but only sometimes shows up.
Exactly. You start to discount their offers over time, don't you? Their words of support feel less genuine because the actions are hit or miss.
Yeah, you can't rely on it.
And it's not just about big actions either. Even small, everyday, consistent actions add up.
Like what?
Being consistently punctual, always saying thank you, holding the door, following through on tiny promises. These things seem minor, but done consistently.
They build a picture.
They build a reputation. They
Yeah.
accumulate to show your underlying character. It creates this overall positive impression that's quite powerful.
So, okay, this is all making sense. How can you listening get better at this? How do we become more intentional about aligning our actions with our words? Any practical strategies?
I think the absolute first step is self-awareness. Really cultivating that. Before you say yes to something, before you make a promise or state an intention.
Those.
Yeah, pause. Take a moment. Ask yourself honestly, can I realistically follow through on this? Do my current priorities and capacity allow for this action?
So, thinking before committing. That sounds simple, but probably isn't always easy.
It takes practice. Another key thing is accountability, holding yourself accountable.
How?
It could be different things for different people.
Hmm?
Maybe keeping a journal where you track your commitments and actions, setting reminders on your phone, or maybe telling a trusted friend or partner what you intend to do, having an accountability buddy.
That external check-in can help.
It really can. And tied to that is regular self-reflection.
Stepping back and looking at the patterns.
Exactly. Taking some quiet time, maybe weekly, to just honestly assess. Are my actions generally reflecting my stated values? Am I following through on my key commitments?
And identifying where the gaps are.
Yes, noticing those areas where maybe there's a disconnect, without judgment, just observing. Then you can think about why and how you might adjust your behavior moving forward.
What about communication with others?
That's important too. Being open and honest about expectations, both yours and theirs. Sometimes misalignment happens simply because things weren't clear up front.
So, clarifying what you can and can't do.
Precisely. It helps manage expectations and prevents unintentional breaches of trust down the line.
And, we all mess up sometimes. We're human. Our actions won't always perfectly match our words.
That's such a crucial point.
Yeah.
We need to embrace that imperfection. These moments aren't failures.
They're learning opportunities.
Exactly. View inconsistency as a chance to learn. Acknowledge it, maybe even apologize if needed to understand why it happened, and then reaffirm your commitment to aligning things better next time. It's about growth, not perfection.
Okay, let's circle back quickly to the impact. We touched on it, but just to reinforce in our personal lives.
Consistent, caring actions, being reliable, showing empathy, offering practical help, just being there, that's what deepens bonds. It builds that solid foundation of trust that makes relationships resilient.
And the lack of it.
It creates distance. A pattern of broken promises or simply not showing up when it counts really weakens connections, no matter how nice the words are. Actions truly solidify relationships.
And professionally.
In the workplace, your actions are basically your professional calling card. Meeting deadlines consistently, being proactive, collaborating effectively, helping colleagues.
That's what builds your reputation.
Exactly. It demonstrates competence, reliability, professionalism. Often, your track record of action speaks way louder than anything on your resume or what you say about yourself. It opens doors.
So, thinking about practical takeaways for everyone listening, if you could boil it down to maybe 2 key tips for better action alignment.
Okay, first one. Prioritize.
Yep.
Really figure out what commitments and goals matter most. You can't do everything.
Focus your energy.
Yes. Focus your time and energy there. Align your actions with those core values and objectives. Don't spread yourself so thin that you can't follow through properly anywhere.
Quality over quantity in commitments. Makes sense. And the second tip,
Be really mindful about the promises you make. Big ones and small ones?
think before you speak again?
Kind of. Only commit to what you genuinely believe you can deliver. It's almost always better to underpromise and then surprise someone by over-delivering.
And the other way around.
Definitely better than over-promising and inevitably disappointing them. Manage expectations carefully, starting with your own commitments.
Right. So as we wrap up this deep dive, it really comes down to this, doesn't it? In the long run, our consistent actions are the clearest, most honest proof of who we truly are and what we genuinely value. Words set the stage, maybe, but actions tell the story.
Beautifully put. And maybe a final thought for you listening to take away and mull over. Can you think of one specific area in your life right now where maybe your words and your actions aren't quite lining up? Just one area? And if you can identify one, what's just one small, concrete action you could take this week, just this week, to start closing that gap, even a tiny step?
That's a great challenge, something small and actionable. Here's to working towards that alignment, building stronger trust, and creating more meaningful connections. Thanks for diving deep with us today.